Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are one of the three primary macronutrients, along with fats and proteins, that provide energy to the body. They play a vital role in metabolism, serving as the body's preferred source of energy, particularly for high intensity activities and brain function. Carbohydrates are essential not only for fueling muscles during exercise but also for supporting the proper functioning of the central nervous system. This detailed explanation covers the types of carbohydrates, their digestion and absorption, their role in energy production, dietary recommendations, and their impact on health. Point 1. Definition and types of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are organic compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and they are typically classified based on their chemical structure. They can be divided into simple and complex carbohydrates. Point 1.1. Simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are composed of one or two sugar molecules. They are rapidly absorbed by the body, leading to quick spikes in blood sugar levels. Monosaccharides. The simplest form of carbohydrates consisting of a single sugar unit, glucose. Known as blood sugar, glucose is the primary energy source for the body's cells. Fructose, found naturally in fruits, honey, and some vegetables. Galactose, found in dairy products, it combines with glucose to form lactose. Disaccharides, composed of two monosaccharide units. Sucrose, commonly known as table sugar, it consists of glucose and fructose. Lactose, the sugar found in milk made up of glucose and galactose. Maltose, formed when starch is broken down, it consists of two glucose molecules. 1.2. Complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are composed of three or more sugar molecules, forming longer chains. These carbs take longer to break down and provide a more sustained energy release. Oligosaccharides contain 3 to 10 monosaccharide units. These can be found in some vegetables and legumes, and some are prebiotics. They support gut health by feeding beneficial bacteria. Polysaccharides. These are long chains of monosaccharides and are the most common form of complex carbohydrates. Starch. The primary form of carbohydrate storage in plants, found in foods like potatoes, rice, corn, and wheat. Glycogen. The form of carbohydrate storage in animals, particularly in the liver and muscles. Glycogen is a rapidly available source of glucose during exercise or periods of low blood sugar. Fiber. Although fiber is technically a carbohydrate, it is not digestible by the human body. It plays an essential role in digestive health. Point 2. Digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. The digestion and absorption of carbohydrates begin in the mouth and continue through the digestive tract, with different enzymes and processes breaking down complex carbs into simpler forms that can be absorbed and used by the body. 2.1. Mouth. Salivary amylase. The process begins in the mouth with an enzyme called salivary amylase, which starts breaking down starches, that is complex carbs, into smaller units, primarily maltose. 2.2. Stomach. In the stomach, the acidic environment halts the action of salivary amylase, and no further carbohydrate digestion occurs here. 2.3. Small intestine. Pancreatic amylase. Once the partially digested carbohydrates enter the small intestine, the pancreas secretes pancreatic amylase, which continue breaking down starches into disaccharides like maltose. Disaccharides. Enzymes located on the surface of the small intestine. Example, maltase, lactase, sucrase. Break down disaccharides into monosaccharides like glucose, fructose, galactose, which can be absorbed through the intestinal lining into the blood stream. 2.4 Absorption. Monosaccharides, glucose, fructose, and galactose are absorbed into the blood through the walls of the small intestine and transported to the liver. Glucose. After absorption, glucose enters the bloodstream and is distributed to various tissues where it is used for energy. Fructose and galactose. These are converted to glucose in the liver before being released into the bloodstream. 2.5 Transport and storage. Once glucose is absorbed, it can be immediately used by cells for energy. If there is excess glucose, it is converted into glycogen and stored in the liver and muscles for later use. The liver helps maintain blood glucose levels by releasing glucose from stored glycogen when needed. Any surplus glucose that exceeds glycogen storage capacity is converted into fat and stored in adipose tissue. Point 3 Role of carbohydrates in energy production. Carbohydrates are the body's primary source of quick and accessible energy. They play a key role in fueling physical activity, supporting brain function, and maintaining overall metabolic processes. 3.1 Glycolysis and ATP production. Glycolysis. The process by which glucose is broken down to produce ATP, the cell's energy currency. Anaerobic glycolysis. If oxygen is limited, example, during intense exercise, glycolysis occurs anaerobically producing lactate, that is lactic acid, as a byproduct, which can accumulate and cause muscle fatigue. Aerobic glycolysis. In the presence of oxygen, the products of glycolysis, pyruvate, enter the mitochondria, where they are further metabolized in Krebs cycle to produce a large amount of ATP. 3.2 Glycogen and endurance exercise. Glycogen stored in muscles and the liver is the body's secondary source of glucose when blood sugar levels drop. During exercise, especially endurance activities, glycogen is rapidly converted back into glucose to maintain energy levels. Muscle glycogen provides energy directly for muscle contraction. Liver glycogen. It maintains blood glucose levels during physical activity. 3.3 Brain function. The brain is high energy organ and relies heavily on glucose as its primary fuel. Although the brain can use ketones during prolonged fasting or low carb diets, under normal circumstances, about 60 to 70% of the body's glucose is used by the brain. Point 4 Fiber, a special type of carbohydrate. Fiber, though a carbohydrate is not digested or absorbed by the body, instead it plays an important role in digestive health, maintaining stable blood sugar levels and lowering cholesterol. 4.1 Types of dietary fiber. Soluble fiber dissolves in water to form a gel-like substance which can help lower cholesterol levels and stabilize blood glucose. Sources include oats, beans, fruits, and vegetables. Insoluble fiber does not dissolve in water and adds bulk to stool promoting regular bowel movements. Sources include whole grains, nuts, and seeds. 4.2 Health benefits of fiber. Digestive health. Fiber adds bulk to the stool and facilitates regular bowel movements, reducing the risk of constipation. Blood sugar regulation. Soluble fiber can slow the absorption of sugar, helping to regulate blood glucose levels and prevent spikes. Cholesterol lowering. Soluble fiber can bind to cholesterol in the intestines, preventing its absorption and thus lowering blood cholesterol levels. Weight management. High fiber foods tend to be more filling, which can aid in weight management by reducing overall calorie intake. Point 5 Carbohydrate quality. Simple versus complex carbs. The quality of carbohydrates is an important factor in determining their impact on health. Carbohydrates can be classified into high quality and low quality based on their nutrient content and effect on blood sugar levels. 5.1 Simple versus complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates, that is, refined carbs. Foods high in simple sugars and refined carbs, example candy, sugary drink, white bread, baked goods, tend to cause rapid spikes in blood sugar level. This type of carbs are often nutrient poor and many contribute to obesity, insulin resistance, and other metabolic conditions if consumed excessively. Complex carbs or whole foods. Foods like whole grains, legumes, and starchy vegetables are rich in fiber and other nutrients. They are digested more slowly, providing a more gradual release of glucose into the bloodstream and offering sustained energy over time. 5.2 Glycemic Index GI. The glycemic index GI measures how quickly a carbohydrate containing food raises blood glucose levels. High GI foods, example white bread, sugary snacks, lead to rapid spikes in blood sugar, while low GI foods, example oats, whole grains, legumes, result in slower, more gradual increases in blood sugar levels. Choosing low GI foods can help with blood sugar control, weight management, and reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes. Point 6 Recommended daily intake of carbohydrates. The recommended dietary allowance RDA for carbohydrates depends on factors such as age, sex, activity level, and overall health. However, general guidelines include adults. The RDA for carbohydrates is about 45 to 65% of total daily caloric intake. For an average adult consuming 2000 calories per day, this equates to 225 to 325 grams of carbohydrates per day. Athletes. Athletes, particularly those involved in endurance sports, may require more carbohydrates to fuel their activity and support recovery. Fiber. The daily recommended intake for fiber is about 25 to 30 grams for adults, with a focus on increasing fiber intake through fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Conclusion. The role of carbohydrates in health. Carbohydrates are essential for providing the body with a quick and efficient source of energy. Their role in supporting athletic performance, brain function, and general health is indispensable. Choosing high quality carbohydrates such as whole grains, fruits, and vegetables can enhance overall well being, while limiting refined sugars and processed foods can help prevent chronic diseases like obesity and type 2 diabetes. A balanced approach to carbohydrate intake with the focus on quality and moderation is key to maintain optimal health and performance.